Would you like Doom Eternal? Do you take pleasure in running at the speed of sound and blowing things to bits? Big John? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then you'll want to stick around. If you didn't, then fuck you, you're watching the video anyway. Anyways, I'm going to be talking about Dusk. Just doesn't really matter, does it? It's an arena shooter, click on the bad men before they click on you. But if you really insist, you play as the Intruder, a treasure hunter who wants to get whatever he can get his grubby little hands on in the small town of Dusk, which has been overtaken from within by a Lovecraftian cult. You get kidnapped by the cultists as a sacrifice, and you have to fight your way out and uncover what's really happening. Starting off, the game doesn't fuck around. No how to play, no tutorial, you're just dropped in front of three big cunts, given a hearty smack on the bum, and off you go. The game keeps this pace for the entire runtime. There's no over elaborate explanations for anything, and what little information is directly given is shown in text on the screen. There's no cutscenes outside of the final boss, and you're almost never locked in one spot. This sort of freedom is fucking amazing, and really helps keep you in the moment instead of jerking you out of the fun zone and into a pretentious rant about why eating double stuffed Oreos is bad for the environment. The movement system itself is rock solid, letting you reach ludicrous speeds right off the bat. B-hops are not just supported but emphasised, and the developers also allowed one of the weapons, that being the crossbow, to shoot through walls. Combine that with the fact that bullets can activate buttons placed around the level, and this means that some parts of the level can be completely skipped by a well-placed crossbow bolt. It also gives kickbacks so you can jump over certain gaps just by firing downwards with it, which is pretty fucking cool. This allows for some of the most entertaining speedruns I've watched in a while. A lot of smaller details can add to this feeling of flow, such as teleporters being completely instant, allowing you to keep your speed. There's also the soap, which is fucking amazing. There's a bar of soap hidden in every level and it can deal some damage. Also, the game engine has an unlocked Y-axis, which allows for some sick ass backflips. Everything in this game works in tandem to keep the gameplay as smooth as the average Overwatch player's brain. The level design works well with this sort of environment. It stays typical to an arena shooter, with large opening spaces rivaling the distance women keep from me. Whilst these types of levels are the majority, the level design will often switch when it's trying to get you to learn something. The areas will get smaller, forcing you to acknowledge a new enemy, power up or plot point. This doesn't take away from the flow of the game though, as the corridors are just cramped enough to give a feeling of claustrophobia without drastically impeding your movement. Design-wise, the levels all feel pretty different and are visually distinct from each other. However, in some cases, the nostalgic video game aesthetic can result in some parts of the level looking like curdled cum. Another thing that Dusk fucking nails is the ambience. You initially start in a pretty bog standard cult house, but as the game progresses, it changes from a regular slugfest to a full-on Lovecraftian nightmare. Escher Labs, where the world starts twisting around you, Neon Babel, where things really start taking a turn for the otherworldly, and Homecoming, where you're haunted by your own memories as you fall through space, all have an atmosphere that puts the Marvel Cinematic Universe to shame. Whilst every level contains a good amount of shooty fun time, it's clear that the developers put a lot of thought into the presentation of the world building, and I really appreciate that, as it helps differentiate the game from every other "we remember video games" retro shooter. The game has a strong identity on its own, and it doesn't rely on nostalgia, which helps keep it from feeling dated. The enemies in Dusk are fairly standard. We got Chainsaw Guy, Cart Dog,
I will eat you,
Shooty Guy, Fat Shooty Guy, Shooty Goat. Oh, excuse me, he's actually called Black Phillip. However, a few of them stand out to me. Firstly, we have the Wendigos. These fuckers have my favourite enemy introduction I've ever seen in a game. No cutscene, no over elaborate introduction. You're just left to wonder why that noise behind you is getting louder. Ah! Fucking look at these things. I don't like them. They're invisible until you shoot them, and they scare the ever-loving shit out of me. Just to top that off, they deal loads of damage and have one of the higher health pools in the game. Fuck. Secondly, we have the rather naughtily named Cowgirls. These spindly whores deal enough damage to put a US drone strike to shame, can tank rockets, and have a hitbox the size of Eugene Cooney. Oh, and they also sound like this. Gross. Base secrets can be a little hit or miss in Dusk. There's enough of them to fill Dolphin's anal cavity, and that inevitably results in some of them being a lot better than others. This one gives you early access to a bunch of the later game weapons, restocks your health and ammo, as well as giving you 3 extremely useful power-ups that can help you push through the fight in the second half of the level easily. This one gives you pistol ammo. Very swag. Some might argue that the former can ruin your experience of discovering the later game weapons, as it's only the second level. However, I'd argue that this is by far one of the most cryptic secrets to access in the game, and is extremely unlikely to be found by someone on their first playthrough. There's more than just regular secrets though. If you're super clever, or just look at the Steam guides, then you'll find that this game has secret levels, even including secret bosses. There's one in every chapter, and I really like the way they're hidden in the game. They're not shoved in your face as secrets, they're actually just secret. And that's something that I haven't seen in a while in games, as most secrets are hidden in plain sight. It's a breath of fresh air, and it gives my secret-loving brain a rush of dopamine equivalent to capturing another e-girl on Discord. Whilst I understand that the game is a throwback, the reliance on old-timey graphics can be a hindrance to the visual appeal, making some of the models seem fairly low quality. Some of the enemies have a disparity in difficulty that can tend to take away from the flow of a fight, making certain encounters more of a hassle than a fun experience. The game is also pretty short and can be finished relatively quickly. On top of that, the boss fights can be a little disappointing. There's 14 bosses in total, which is a pretty good amount for only 33 levels, but this comes at a price. A lot of them are rehashes of previous bosses, or just souped up normal enemies. I'm not expecting AAA quality, but a little more variation here would have been nice to see. If you're a fan of Mick Gordon, the composer for Doom, I'm fucking begging you to check out Andrew Holsholt, the composer for Dusk. The music is absolutely stellar and fits perfectly with fast-paced gameplay. Personal recommendations include Burn in Hell and Skinwalker, both of which just make me top-notch stuff. Levels often have beer bottles littered around. When you interact with them, you chug the bottle, and chugging enough of them gets you drunk, which makes the screen all wobbly. It's the little things like that that make me love this game. I just like him a lot, honestly. Despite being criminally underrated, Dusk has a fairly impressive modding scene. Maps like Derailed, Enclave and Tiger all show a lot of potential for the map makers, and I'm really quite impressed by the quality of them. There's also mods like this. The Dusk modding community is a creative one, and I think they've got an eye for horror that I haven't experienced before. David
Zamansky
has done a great job on making this on his own, and is genuinely one of my inspirations for the field. I'm always impressed by the ingenuity and creativity of single-person dev teams, and Davey Boy has a lovely little track record of games. I also recently found out that he made Fingerbones, which is a game I enjoyed quite a while ago. He's also produced for the Dread X Collection 2, and Squirrel Stapler scared the fucking shit out of me. Also, his Twitter's kind of funny. Overall, I love Dusk. It's a lovely throwback to old school shooters that stands firmly on its own 2 feet. Everything works together very well, and it's amazing what David Zamansky has accomplished with this. Thanks for watching, and take care.